I just found some of the weirdest tanks from around the world, so today I'm gonna build and test them, with each one getting weirder and dumber than the last, to find out if these tanks are the future. But to start, we have to go back to Tank 1. For this first tank, we have to go to Germany during World War II, because it's time to roll out the Kugelpanzer, literally. And I used some circle Lego plates for the wheels, a gear lever for the machine gun, and this Lego bar piece thingy to represent the swivelly rear wheel. Yep, very realistic. Guys, I know this looks small, but this was so complicated to build. And although it can't fit a minifig, it does work really well. But what was the point of this thing? Well, this was a one-man tank designed by the Germans for reconnaissance, maybe? No one really knows. But I like to think it's a super secret German super weapon. Oh wait, who's driving? I knew it. But since this thing is a ball, let's see if it can bounce. Oh, that did not survive. But the next tank might survive. But before we find out, you have to know that most of these tanks were not even used in combat, or even built and tested. They're basically just experiments by different countries to see if they were even a good idea. But they're really funny and weird, which is why I'm testing them to see if these designs are legit, including a tank that jumps around, so yeah, stick around if you want to see that. But before we get to that tank, we have to go to the land of Baked Beanland, because this is the Praying Mantis tank. And what in the world of tanks were they thinking? This thing is really weird. And I use these beveled gears for the wheels, yep, you know I gotta use these, and this bar piece for the machine gun. But the main attraction is this hinged boom that's supposed to fit a minifig, like in real life. But I guess this'll do, because this tank was designed to sneak up on enemy positions, and then use the machine guns to take them out. This is a very strange design, so I'm gonna test it in a strange way. So let's see if it's actually a praying mantis, which apparently are really good at catching prey. So let's see if this thing can catch a bug. Oh, guys, it feels like I'm filming a nature documentary right now.
Mantids will eat anything that moves.
But after waiting for a long time, no insects showed up. But then, oh, what? Look, there's a real praying mantis right there. Oh, wait, what do you think of my tank? Oh, I think I'm gonna call him Bob. I don't know if he likes it. I think he might be a bit scared. Well, that definitely makes up for there being no bugs to catch. So yeah, honestly, I don't know what I expected, but at least Bob was there to make things interesting. You know what? Comment Bob if you think I should build him out of Lego. And speaking of building, what's the next tank I have to build? Well, to find out, we have to look up in the sky, because it's the Antonov A40 flying tank. So basically, it's just a T-60 light tank, so not really that weird. And I use this slightly illegal technique for the turret, these tiny little gears for the front wheels, and working suspension, which is really cool and satisfying to watch. But it's also been modded with connection points for giant wings like in real life, because this tank was designed by the Russians to quickly transport a tank to the battlefield, sometimes behind enemy lines. But it only ever flew once and never saw combat. So that's why I built these actual wings out of scrap wood, foam, and paper, using a bunch of math and science for the wing shape, size, and center of gravity, to test and see if I could make this tank actually fly. But before we see if I ruined 10 hours worth of work, I just want to say, if you want the instructions for these builds so you can play with them, or do whatever you want, you can find them at fistfulofstuds.com, along with a bunch of other cool stuff, so yeah, please check that out, link in the description. Anyways, 3, 2, 1. Oh my goodness, that actually flew really well. What the heck? I did not expect that to work. It also landed safely with no damage. Wow, that is amazing. This is a legit design. I also flew it a couple more times and it crashed, but surprisingly only the tank broke. I guess this glider is built different, but that was still really good. But this next tank is so much worse. But to find out what it is, we have to go to the Island of Sheep and go inside this barn. But inside, we're not gonna find a tractor. Instead, I found the Bob Simple tank, which was a World War II tank from New Zealand built to fight the Japanese, which it probably wouldn't be very good at. And it was built by Bob, and it's very simple. Yeah. It's basically a bulldozer with a shed on top, and I built it using a bunch of these vent pieces to make it look like corrugated metal, and a bunch of snot bricks to make the turret a circle, and a complex system for the tracks. But since this is so bad, I need to put it through a lot of tests to see if this is worthy of being called a tank. So what about driving over rough terrain? Yes, okay, that's good. Okay, what about being shot by a Nerf gun? Oh wow, that did absolutely no damage. Okay, so what about driving over a mine? Okay, I don't have any real explosive guys, but the tank still survived, so that means that the Bob Simple tank is the best in the world. War Thunder, please add this to the tech tree right now. But this final tank is so crazy, it probably won't be added to War Thunder. But to build it, we have to go all the way back to the United States, and then find all these pieces and turn it into the Wallace Leaping Tank. That's right, a tank that literally jumps on one leg. This has got to be the dumbest tank design ever thought of. But to get its rounded design, I used a lot of Lego hinged pieces and snot bricks. But the coolest part of this tank is that I used a rubber band attached to the leg to hopefully make it jump. We'll find out. Now, this tank was designed in World War II to basically be a walking pillbox, and because it's completely round, it wouldn't have any weak spots, and it has enough guns to obliterate any target. Oh wow, it actually kind of bounces a little, looks like it's dancing. But now it's time to see if this leg actually works and makes it jump. Oh wow, I'm starting to see why this tank was never built. But let's see if it can jump over an obstacle like this brick wall. Okay, nope, definitely not. But what about a bigger obstacle like the Bob Simple tank? Well, the Bob Simple tank literally took no damage. I'm really starting to think this is the best in the world. Anyways, this thing looks really funny jumping around, but I don't think it's my favorite. Anyways, this was a fun video to make because now I got all these weird tanks that I can play with. Don't forget to check out fistfulofstuds.com for the instructions. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll watch you in the next one.